If you are someone that has been trying to lose weight for a while, but you've encountered some weight loss resistance, then you're going to want to stick around because today I'm talking about calorie counting, which is a strategy that many people are taught to use when they are wanting to lose weight. Hi, my name is Andrea, and this is the Nutrition Mission YouTube channel. Today I want to dive into the wonderful world of calorie counting and talk about some of the science that has influenced me to take the position that it is simply not an effective strategy for long-term sustainable weight loss. If you're new here, then go ahead and subscribe and gently massage that like button. Liking the video supports my channel and encourages the algorithm to promote the video for other people who are out there searching for answers to health-related questions as well. So you can support the whole team by hitting that like button. All right, let's get started. First of all, your body is not a calculator. It's so much more beautifully complex than that. In fact, it's a lot more like a chemistry lab. And the standard advice that is still dispensed by many conventional health coaches today is that you can lose weight by simply burning more energy than you consume. And while this is not necessarily a lie, it's not the whole truth either. Don't get me wrong, calories matter in the sense that we want to make sure we have a sufficient amount of calories in our diet so that we don't suffer from malnutrition. But for the majority of the people in the West, a shortage of calories is not the real problem. The real question that people have these days is, should I calculate and limit the amount of calories I consume if I want to lose weight? So let's take a moment to address the question, what is a calorie anyway? A calorie is technically defined as the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. It's measured by the change in water temperature when a food is burned. So the calorie model tells you something about how much work your metabolism has to do to burn off the food you have recently eaten. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. Calories don't function in a vacuum. There are complex biological processes that occur every time you consume a food or a drink, and that chemical process depends on the molecular composition of the food or the drink that was consumed. If I were to give you 100 calories in the form of Coca-Cola versus 100 calories in the form of broccoli, your body would have completely different physiological responses to these foods, and from the same amount of calories. The Coca-Cola would spike your blood sugar levels, stimulating the release of insulin, followed by a hypoglycemic blood sugar crash, where your body tells you that you have to eat again, despite the fact that you may not truly be hungry. So you eat and store more unnecessary weight, and the cycle continues. 100 calories of broccoli, on the other hand, does not spike your blood glucose levels, and it fills you up because it's high in fiber and it has some protein in it. And so then your body doesn't cue you to eat again until you are actually needing more nutrients. Same number of calories, totally different physiological effects. You see, simply counting calories as a way of trying to manage your weight is not the best option. It doesn't take into consideration the nutrient density of the food or what kind of physiological response your body will have to that food. Also, trying to simply eat less calories isn't an effective strategy for long-term weight loss, and I want to talk about why. Multiple studies have revealed that long-term calorie restriction leads to a lower resting metabolic rate. In other words, if you regularly restrict your calorie intake, then your metabolism slows down. It isn't necessarily what we want for fat burning, because when your metabolic rate is higher, you have the ability to burn more energy, but when your metabolism is lower, like what happens after you restrict calorie intake over a period of time, then your body stops burning energy as efficiently. What I just told you is that you should not rely on calorie restriction as a primary technique for weight loss, because all it does in the long run is slows down your metabolism and makes it harder for you to lose weight. Now, we know that resting metabolic rate changes with calorie restriction because we have observed this as a consistent theme in certain nutritional studies and historical events. The main study I want to bring up today is the Minnesota semi-starvation experiment, which is probably the most prominent randomized controlled trial ever conducted to learn about the physical, emotional, and social changes that happen when the human body is put into a calorie-restricted state for a long period of time. Over a 13-month period of time, 36 men were progressively given lower amounts of food until they settled in on a 1,500 calorie per day diet. That's a euphemistic way of saying they were starved. And now you may be thinking what I was thinking when I read this, which is, who signs up for a starvation study? Well, in 1944, it was the middle of World War II, and men were getting drafted to go fight overseas. But not all men. Some of the men refused to go and fight, and these men were known as conscientious objectors. Conscientious objectors were assigned to civilian public service projects where they worked on projects like soil conservation, forest maintenance, and firefighting. And then the government started allowing scientists to enlist some of these men in various medical experiments in which they served as human guinea pigs. So Ansel Keys, who was the organizing director of the Minnesota semi-starvation experiment, put out a call for volunteers, and about 400 men applied for the experiment, knowing that their bodies would be starved. 100 men were interviewed, and 36 men were ultimately selected for the study. Throughout the study, as you can imagine, researchers noted several physical, mental, and emotional changes happening in the patients. The men became preoccupied with the thought of food to the point where they couldn't stay focused on daily tasks. They also became depressed, anxious, listless, and they turned into hypochondriacs and began to socially withdraw. So we learned that calorie deprivation is not great for mental health. The really crazy part of this study is that after it was over and the men went back to eating a normal amount of food to support their body weight, they still experienced mental health problems. Furthermore, they not only regained the weight that they had lost, but they also packed on an extra 10% of their initial body weight. So if a man weighed 160 pounds before the experiment, that would put him right at about 176 pounds after the weight rebound. And now the next logical question is, why would a human body rebound to gain weight upon refeeding? This is due to the effect that I mentioned earlier, that calorie deprivation over a period of time can effectively slow down your resting metabolic rate so that your body needs less consumed energy to maintain a lower weight. And when you go back to eating the same amount of calories that you were eating before, of course, that means that you will gain more weight than your body needs. This alteration of the resting metabolic rate is a type of stress response. When the body endures a certain amount of deprivation, it will compensate by storing excess fat in times of low stress as a type of protective function. It says, okay, I know there's food around me, but just in case I'm forced into starvation again, I need to store a little extra to tide me over. What we learned from this experiment is that it's a bad idea to deprive your body of essential nutrients in an attempt to lose weight. That strategy backfires and wrecks your metabolism. When you stabilize your body's hormonal response to food by incorporating more nutrient-dense foods, then you don't have to use nearly as much willpower to stop yourself from eating the highly addictive processed foods once you reach that 250 calorie mark. Stop counting calories as an attempt to lose weight. Now, if you want to learn more about my specific approach to nutrition, then click on the link in the description box below and check out the 4-week guided nutrition course. In that course, I will walk you through all of this and more. The diet changes we make in the program have the power to help you make permanent changes in your health for the better. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment and ask a question. I've got more content on the way, so let me know what you want to learn about in the world of health and nutrition. And I will see you later.